Welcome to Campus Chat, a look at the people, the opportunities, programs, and happenings at Western Nevada College. Campus Chat is made possible by the Western Nevada College Foundation.
Hello and welcome to Campus Chat. My name is Helene Jesse, and this is the show about the people and programs of Western Nevada College. Now, if you watched the show last month, you know we highlighted Winnie Quartermeyer's new geology class called the Introduction to the Geology of National Parks, and that's going to be a semester-long class that you can still register for. This month, we're featuring a class taught by part-time instructor Dr. Chip Carroon, who is my guest today. By the way, welcome. Nice to see you.
Nice to be here.
And he's going to be focusing on one particularly beautiful and intriguing national park, and that is Death Valley. It's going to be a class held in March over spring break. And so we're going to be talking to Chip about the mechanics of the class, and then be sure and watch the second segment today because Chip is going to show us some beautiful pictures of Death Valley. So your first time on Campus Chat, tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in geology and what got you interested in teaching this class.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I've studied geology in a number of different ways over the years and have visited and lived in many places around the world, ended up traveling a lot. I came to this area fairly recently, actually, because my friend Pat was here. So I haven't been here too long, but nice to be here.
But you've been, I'm a native Nevadan. Chip's been here a few months, but he has been to far more places in Nevada than I could even dream of. I mean, you're an avid hiker. Great shape.
Well, I suppose I became interested in the outdoors long ago when I was a child. My father, in place of other things, would always suggest, well, let's go down to the river or let's go for a walk in the woods. And I always thought that was kind of calming and enjoyable. So I
kept it up.
Kept up my interest in that, though I have strayed far afield at times.
And I do want, he may not want me to say this, but it's too late. I'm saying it. Chip has a PhD in geology from Stanford. So he is no lightweight when it comes to geology. Exactly. Dave is bowing. I bow to this man. He is so smart. And, well, let's talk about the Death Valley class. Why Death Valley?
Okay. Well, I think, first of all, I've spent a lot of time in the desert Southwest, and I've become at ease and knowledgeable of that area. And then also, as far as geology goes, Death Valley is a good place because you can see the features without the obscuring details of vegetation. So that's one reason. And then I think also Death Valley has very, shall we say, complex and challenging geology. So that's of interest. And then also, I guess I think of Death Valley, especially at this time of year, because the climate there is kind of mild and enjoyable when it's cool elsewhere.
Right. So where is Death Valley exactly?
Well, Death Valley is in the southeastern corner of California, and it borders Nevada.
Oh, it does. So like through Laughlin or what?
So
part?
It's just west of the town of Beatty,
okay.
Nevada.
And so that's, is that how you'll get down there? Will you drive down there?
Well, we'll be going down 395, so through California, actually, most of the way to Death Valley.
Oh, okay, and then into Death Valley. Yeah. Now, you talked about the temperature. So the class, when is the class actually, the actual dates of the entire class?
Okay, well, we are having a mandatory meeting ahead of time, about 1 week ahead of time, on March 6th, on Friday evening from 5 to 8. Okay. And we need to talk about a lot of things just logistically. And then we are going to be leaving here on Sunday, March 15th, returning probably on Saturday, March 21st. And the intervening Monday through Friday is when we will pursue our academic work.
Oh, that's great. So that is actually spring break
that's
up
spring
at the college.
Break for the college.
Oh, that's great. So getting back to temperatures in Death Valley in March, what will it be like?
Okay, well, in March it will be quite nice, actually. It will be just about perfect. Commenting briefly on the climate in Death Valley, which people think of course. It's probably the hottest, driest, lowest place in the hemisphere as far as precipitation. Maybe only 1 3/4 inches of rain per year on average, so that's not much, though a little more in the mountain ranges on the sides. And temperature, well, the highest recorded temperature was 134 degrees one July day. However, normally in the summertime wouldn't expect the temperature to exceed the balmy 120s. So it'll probably be good to go there other than summer.
Right. Exactly. So what do you think March will be, 80s or 70s?
I think it'll be, I think we may have 80s, yes.
80s?
Maybe 70 and 80.
And so what about nighttime temperatures? Do you see
it
the drop
does
like
cool down. Like
it does?
in the other parts of the desert, we have a big diurnal range in temperature.
Okay, yeah, 30, 40 degrees possibly?
Yes. So
wow, that's interesting.
everyone should bring some warm clothes if they come on the field trip.
Why do they call it Death Valley?
Well,
hot and people die. Let me guess. I have a bachelor's in history. I figured that one out.
Well, purportedly Death Valley received its name in 1850, and to try to make a long story short, a group of immigrants were looking for a shortcut to the California gold fields in late 1849, and they stumbled into the valley, and they couldn't find a good way out. And so a couple of them decided to scout a route on foot. So after 250 miles of desert and mountains, they made it to a rancho in the San Fernando Valley, where they procured some provisions and went back to rescue the beleaguered families. And it's reliably reported that upon leaving, one of the group looked back and said, "Goodbye, Death Valley." And so it was named.
So there it is. You'll be very safe on this trip. I want you to know that. Be very safe. So, will you be carpooling then?
Okay, so as far as logistics, just generally, we'll be using our own vehicles to go down to the valley, and we will be staying in campgrounds. So everyone should bring normal car camping equipment or camping capability, and also provisions and supplies for the week because infrastructure there is limited. So bring everything you need.
And how many credits?
It's a 2-unit class.
2 credits, so you get two geology college credits here. And how do they contact you to sign up, or do they?
No, www.WNC.edu for registering and for information. And there's a syllabus there that explains the class, and also a contact email address for me if they'd like to contact me.
Oh, great. So go to the website so you can find out all the details. What a great experience.
I think it will be.
Now, once we look at these slides that you have, we'll be able to see what makes Death Valley so geologically wonderful.
Yes,
right?
I think so.
Okay, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Campus Chat. Welcome back to Campus Chat. This is Helene Chesky. I'm with Dr. Chip Carroon, and he's going to be showing us some pictures of Death Valley for a class he's offering March 15th to the 21st, but you can find all about it on the website, WNC.edu. And Chip, before we start, do you have to be in great shape to do this class? Or?
No, not at all. We will be traveling by caravan and stopping and just short walks to most of our sites, but maybe a fourth of the day in the afternoon we'll be taking a little bit longer hike, but everything is explained in the syllabus. Hikes are not too long. Most people should be able to do it.
Okay, beautiful picture.
Okay, here we go. Just going to start off with what may be the most typical view of Death Valley in most people's minds, a view of the salt pan in the middle of the playa. Here is a view of salt polygons, fractures in the salt in the middle of Death Valley. Salty brine is wicked up by capillary action along the edges and creates the relief that we see. Here is a view of Devil's Golf Course, and I'm going to talk to the students, and if they bring their clubs, just remind them to bring a lot of balls because this is a difficult course. So the situation here is that about 2,000 years ago there was a lake that dried up, precipitating about 3 to 5 feet of salt, and here again brine is wicked up by capillary action to the tips of the pinnacles, evaporates, precipitating salt. Here we have a view of Eureka Dunes and the Paleozoic sedimentary rocks of the Last Chance Range.
That's beautiful.
Here a view of morning light on part of the Eureka Dunes. Here I am on stilts looking at the slip face of a transverse dune at Mesquite Flat. Here's a view of a mesquite bush at the edge of the dune field, and it may seem strange to have vegetation on dunes thinking that that's the driest place in the valley, but actually the dunes are very porous, they store water, and the vegetation has deep roots, and they do quite well. Here a view of desiccation fractures in mud from the last large lake that occupied the valley in the Pleistocene, and it's underlying the dunes and evident between some. Here's a crescentic transverse dune at Mesquite Flat and ripples.
So going too fast almost.
Oh, okay.
Crescentic just means the crescent.
Yeah, see that crescent?
Yeah,
crescent
beautiful
shape there? But yet it's a transverse dune, the general name.
Yeah, beautiful.
And what I'm leading into are fossil ripples. Okay, so we just saw the ripples on the sand dune of today, and here are the fossil ripples from the edge of a lake perhaps about 5 million years ago it occupied this area.
Wow, 5 million years.
And here we have fossil biped tracks that I found on Eureka Dunes, and we are going back to Eureka Dunes. First stop on the field trip, we're going to look for this animal. It may still be there.
Yeah, it's like a Sasquatch, you mean?
Yes, Bigfoot. Okay, here we have a view of Badlands topography at Zabriskie Point. These are lake bed deposits of clay and mud. They're pretty impermeable. So as water falls in infrequent storms, it doesn't sink in. It just rapidly runs off, creating these many gullies and ridges.
So did you take all these pictures?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So here's just a real simple example of faulting, okay? The basic faulting, small faults cutting the bedding planes.
What kind of rocks are those blue rocks?
Sandstone and conglomerate. That's a conglomerate. In other words, a sedimentary rock with larger fragments.
Beautiful.
Okay, real quick on the subject of faulting. Here we have a very large, essentially uneroded fault surface. The surface on the right, the brown rock, part of what is an unusual feature called a turtleback, since the surface resembles the carapace of a turtle. A very old, 1.7 billion year old crystalline basement.
My gosh.
A metamorphic rock. Here's Yuba Hibi Crater. Okay,
what was that?
Yuba Hibi Crater. So, the largest crater in a volcanic field in northern Death Valley. Okay, so most of the craters in this field were formed when basaltic magma didn't actually get to the surface, but reached the groundwater just near surface, flashed the water to steam, and this very rapid, catastrophic increase in volume when the water goes to the vapor phase created these explosive pressures that blew off the overburden. And it was recently thought these were several thousand years old, but very recently they found a piece of wood in the ash layer and carbon-14 dated it. It's only 140 to 300 years old.
Oh my God, that's young.
Very young. The youngest basaltic eruption in the continental United States.
So would you say this is still active then?
It's still a very active area, and interestingly, this image and the one just before are just about the oldest and youngest rocks visible in Death Valley.
Oh,
we'll be seeing them both.
Amazing. Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
here we have a view of some colorful rocks in the mid distance there. In Titus Canyon. We're going to be going down Titus Canyon. The yellow and pink layers are volcanic tuff, a pyroclastic rock, formed from volcanic ejecta. Here we have a fanglomerate, porphyrin fanglomerate. A fanglomerate is a cemented alluvial fan. Here we have springs at near Furnace Creek Ranch. Very interesting story. This spring, along with two others, deliver almost 2,000 gallons of water per minute, which enables the habitation of Death Valley.
Who's that? Is that Pat?
That is Pat, a friend of mine, Pat. And
my neighbor? That's my neighbor, my friend, Pat Devereaux. I'm giving her credit right now.
So the obvious question here, real quick, is where does all this water come from and how does it get there? Well, analyses of the water show that it comes from Ash Meadows, which is 25 miles to the east and 1,500 feet higher, but on the other side of the Funeral Mountains. And the water there actually comes from a little farther east in the Nevada test site. So the underflow rate of the water percolating through the bedrock fractures is estimated to be on about the order of 1 foot per day. So it would take about 350 years for the water to get to the valley. So the funny question in my mind is, I'm wondering if radioactive isotopes from all the atomic bomb blasts are going to start showing up in the water in another 300 years.
Good question. Beautiful.
Okay, here just a quick view of breccia formed from the many different rock types that we're going to be seeing in Death Valley. Here we have a somewhat similar image of fragments in a cemented debris flow that's been polished by extreme action. Here we have a view of the Noonday dolomite, 700 million years old. Dolomite is a calcium-magnesium carbonate rock, very common in Death Valley, which we'll be seeing. And, well, this is one of the interesting topics of study when we get down there, because it shows metamorphic differentiation of the lighter and darker minerals into these layers. Here a view of a carbonate rock on the Turtleback Fault Zone, and it was very severely dynamically metamorphosed and deformed, and you may be able to see even flow structure in some of the foliation. Here I am at an exposure of Cambrian limestone in Titus Canyon, where the gray limestone has been fractured due to some mountain building event, but that the pieces didn't move very far before calcite precipitated from circulating hot groundwaters. And if you look at the blocks near my hand, you can kind of see how they might fit back together.
Is there a lot of hot springs down there? Are there hot springs down there?
There is a warm spring that delivers water for the Furnace Creek swimming pool. Very quickly, here's a bunch of parallel grooves sandblasted into a basalt boulder, and these are called ventifacts. Here's just a quick view of the interesting high contrast topography at Death Valley. And here, a rainbow, a primary and secondary rainbow in the Black Mountains, and though infrequent, it does rain in Death Valley at times.
1 3/4 inches.
And I'm concluding here with a quick view of Telescope Peak. So indeed, there's even snow in Death Valley at times. Well, Death Valley National Park. So that's it for my quick slideshow.
Wow, Chip, what a great class. I encourage people to take that 2 credits of geology here at Western Nevada College. It starts March 6th with a 3-hour class on a Friday night, which is a mandatory class. You can get all the information.
Get some info.
But if you check the website with the syllabus, they'll have a lot of the information that they need, correct?
Everything
and how
is there.
to contact you if they had further questions.
Exactly.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much for being on the show. Let me remind you, PhD in geology from Stanford. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa. Stephanie Arrigotti, who's our next guest, said whoa. I am right on this one. Thank you so much, Chip, and we'll be right back with Stephanie. Welcome back to Campus Chat. My name is Helene Jesse, and I'm sitting here with Stephanie Arrigotti, who is the music professor at Western Nevada College, and she is also the director of the much-loved Western Nevada Musical Theater Company. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Helene.
And if you've ever been to a show at WNMTC, you'll know that these performances do rival Broadway, and our last performance was the South Pacific, and let's just take a quick second to look at a wonderful clip.
Okay, we're coming back, and?
Fantastic, and if you missed that, you missed really a wonderful show. I mean, really, it was a rave hit, wasn't it?
The audience adored it. We just consistently got cheering, standing ovations, and it was a joy. It was a joy to watch it, and I have gotten nonstop feedback from people ever since then.
That's great.
Yeah, it was
a
wonderful experience.
Well, before we start to talk about the 2009 season that's coming up, what are the opportunities available for students at Western Nevada College if they want to learn how to act or sing or play an instrument?
There are many different types of opportunities. If you are working toward a degree in musical theater, we have a whole curriculum that will train you to be what they call in the industry the triple threat. The triple threat is the singer, the actor, and the dancer. And so the degree curriculum focuses on those three areas of skill. And so you would take classes in singing, classes in acting, classes in dancing, and then you would take the theoretical classes that teach you about the history of musical theater. If you are not into the musical theater field but are still interested in performing, we have a wonderful choir that meets on Tuesday nights, directed by Bill Zabelski, and that's open to everyone in the community as well as students. We also have performance classes in piano, where anybody could come in. I don't care if you even know where middle C is. And you sit down and we will teach you how to play the piano.
And you teach those classes, don't you?
I'm teaching the day class this semester, and Paul Defoe will teach the evening class.
Oh, okay.
And then we have classes in guitar and classes in voice. But then we also have the music appreciation series, and that's a wonderful way for people to become acquainted with music. I hate the name music appreciation because students show up and say, okay, make me appreciate it. But really, it's what it is. It's a wonderful survey, a great introduction to the world of music and understanding how it's constructed through the many eras that created it.
And it's a pretty classical definition. I mean, if you're going to take music appreciation, at least I would know that it would be a pretty in-depth class.
But this semester I'm teaching a new class at the college, which is called the History of American Musical Theater. And, and it's going to be a very fun class. I'm going to take my students actually to the theater during the chaos of Tech Week for Grand Night for Singing, and take them around and show them all the different facets of what is involved in putting on a production, where they'll see where the drops fly in and out, the fly rail. They'll understand. They're going to be, they won't understand. They're not going to be lighting technicians when they leave. But I'll show them how the lights are programmed, how the sound is programmed, what the backstage crew does. Bring them into the orchestra pit and give them a feel for what it's like to sit in the hole for 2 weeks and accompany the show. And then take them on a survey of American musical theater from its inception through the present day, talking about what's happening on Broadway right now. And so a lot of my audience is really excited about taking this. I have this email list that I promote with, and they were very receptive, and we've got a...
There might not be enough room in the hole for all the people who may want to take this class.
But it's also the requirement now for the degree in musical theater, because it will give you the full survey of that and help you to understand where this particular show that you're performing in developed from. So that gives you kind of an overview of our curriculum offerings for spring.
So you can get an Associate of Arts then in musical theater?
In musical theater. And one other aspect that I forgot to mention for the musical theater degree is that we teach technical theater, because you really need to be a quadruple threat. You need to understand how to program those lights and understand the sound, and so that there is a class that trains that as well.
Does that class does
all
the
of these
transfer?
Everything transfers to the universities. This program was programmed after probably the most prestigious program on the West Coast, PCPA, the Pacific Coast Performance Academy. And they have just a jewel of a 2-year degree in musical theater. No, it's down in Southern California. And we have programmed it after that, but the requirements that we have for this degree are the undergraduate requirements at most 4-year degrees in musical theater across the United States. And so what they would take here would then be useful for them at any institution that they would transfer to.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Great. So you can not only watch great performances, you can actually learn all about it. And so tell us about the 2009 season. What's coming up?
Well, we are knee-deep in our first show, which is playing Valentine's Day weekend at the Carson City Community Center, February 13th through the 15th. It's called Grand Night for Singing. This is a Rodgers and Hammerstein review. And
I've never heard of it.
Well, it was actually played on Broadway.
Oh, awesome.
And Tony nominated, beautiful arrangements. And what we did was we gathered several very strong performers. And it's great fun for them because usually these are the people that audition against each other for leads in the show. And now they're doing trios together. And so there's way too much laughing happening.
Give me some names of the...
Well, Sarah Panabaker, who just starred in South Pacific and brought the house down. And on the way out, people were saying, you better tell me she's singing in the next show. And she is. Lynn Heller is in it. Maria Arrigotti, my daughter. For the men, Lynette Brown, who has starred in some other WNMTC productions. Then for the men, we have Leonie Berg, who starred in Carousel and Guys and Dolls. James McDuffie, who starred in Damn Yankees. And Adam Macart. And I have to give you a little clip about Adam Macart because he sang the national anthem for the Veterans Day performance at the Carson City Community Center. And Dave put the national anthem on his website. And Adam just picked that off of Dave's website and sent the link to America's Got Talent, and he's on the show now.
Oh, my God.
So, Dave, you have contributed to the rise of the star.
Oh, isn't that great?
But, yeah, he's got an absolutely amazing
Grand Night for Singing
voice.
in February, and then what's your second show?
Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And those people who have seen this show adore it. Not everybody has seen it. And so this would be your chance. You really don't want to miss this show.
What are the dates for that show?
You asked me really hard questions.
May 8th through the 10th and 15th through the 17th.
Yes, 2 weekends running from the 8th through the 17th
and
of May.
And then the November show.
We've got Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I.
Oh,
and
that's great.
That doesn't need a lot of talk.
Yeah. How do I call you? 445-4249.
Yes.
And they can get season tickets. Location is the Carson City Community Center.
Yes.
Just some fabulously talented people.
Yes.
Also choreographed by Gina Caskey-Davis.
Marvelous woman. Very talented.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you,
and thank you for watching this month's edition of Campus Chat. We'll see you next month.
This has been Campus Chat, a monthly program from Western Nevada College. Campus Chat is made possible by the Western Nevada College Foundation.